and welcome to the Vintage Read Show Live. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a bit of fun, isn't it? There's so much to discuss. There's so much news. There's so much royal news. As I was reading it all, I was thinking, oh, I can't wait to go on and chat to everyone about this. This is awesome. So yes, certainly not a dull time of year, which is great. Now, it's a bit of a funny time for some people, particularly people in the UK. So they're probably going to be joining us on catch up. For once, it's probably okay for people in the USA, in some parts of the USA. I do feel a little bit guilty though, because I'm interrupting people's sleep health. Because I've seen a few comments, I've been giggling to myself. I've been reading some of your comments, and some people said, I was ready to go to bed and I'm delaying it now. I'm going to wait for the live. And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going to be responsible for people being absolutely exhausted the next day. That's not good. But you can always catch up on replay. And if you do, could you leave your comments in the video down below the video? Because I read all the comments. I always do. And I read all the live chat, of course. I'm going to leave that enabled so that everyone can see your thoughts and what you think about everything, because that's what lives are about. It's all about community and sharing our ideas. So let's kick off. In this live, I am going to cover the Princess of Wales at her beautiful carol service at Westminster Abbey. It was a delight. I just loved, seeing that little glimpse. Of course, we'll find out more when it actually airs properly, but just to see those few little glimpses where they're recording the service for us and the excitement of the people, on social media. Some people share their invitations and it really means something to people. It's that recognition as only the royal family can do. I think it's just a wonderful initiative. I'm also going to be sharing Prince William a hop, skip and a jump over to Paris and seeing President Macron, and of course the opening of the Notre Dame Cathedral after 5 years after that dreadful fire. So we're going to be looking into that very important visit. And then we're going to be finishing off with, I'm sorry to say, the Ginger Whinger, but hear me out. I had some thoughts about the Deal Book Summit. I've taken my time. I didn't want to just go in there, launch in there and shoot my mouth off. I wanted to have a think, bit of contemplation, and I have got some opinions to share, which probably doesn't surprise you one iota. So we'll have a bit of a fun at the end of the live and I'll share a little bit of that. So I'll say g'day, g'day, g'day. Hello. Yes, I agree, Amy. Amy was just saying that how beautiful Catherine looked. I'll put it up. She looked lovely. Such a wonderful tradition she has started. I agree. It is. And really, it's what the royal family does best. Although I must say that this initiative has Catherine's stamp all over it. I think it's just lovely, and it's got that warmth and that empathy, which of course empathy was one of the themes for this year's service. So let's get on and sort of get into it and have a bit of a chat about it, and then I'll go to your comments and see what you have to say. So I've got a few photos and fun things to share with you, so let's have a look at the first one. Got to remember how to bring them up. This is of course our lovely Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and didn't she look gorgeous? Now, this is my favourite shot because I just think it's so wonderful the way she was greeted. That's one thing I love. And is this the new Archbishop or something? I'm sorry, I'm not informed about who the gentleman is that's actually greeting her and escorting her into Westminster Abbey. I've got to catch up on all that because, as we know, we had an Archbishop that has retired, rather without I won't say forced, but he sort of disappeared from the job, rather quickly. So I've got to catch up on all that. So just bear with me on that. Now, with Catherine, the Princess of Wales, look at that gorgeous glimpse of the plaid skirt poking out from under her coat. I just think that's gorgeous. And you know what I love? The black boots. I love the bow, but I love the black boots. I think it's because living in a hot climate, I have a real passion to wear boots. I would just, I think it's probably 2 days of the year. It's actually cold enough in Queensland if I go out at night in order to wear high boots, and I just love them because they make you feel so elegant and so special. I just love them. That's probably an exaggeration. If you go out in winter in Queensland, no, you could wear boots more often. That's an exaggeration. But, oh, she just looks absolutely gorgeous. Just love it, love it, love it. Now, I'm going to share the actual fashion opinion or actual fashion facts on the next slide because I'm not very good at it, as you can probably tell. Together at Christmas, Middleton walked into London's Westminster Abbey in a bow-necked Alexandra McQueen coat, which of course Catherine often favours, Amelia Wickstead plaid skirt, and polo Ralph Lauren boots. And that is just stunning. What a combo. Really, really loved it. Now, also in attendance were Beatrice and Edo and her parents, of course, Carol and Michael, her sister Pepper and her brother James. And they're a good family, aren't they? Always supporting each other. But this was the bit that I really loved. The audience also included caregivers, non-profit workers and volunteers from across the spectrum of human kindness, as well as World War II veterans and the families of those affected by the Southport knife attacks. And that was just so special, everybody that was included. Evidently, there was just over 1,600 people seated in the Abbey, and the official theme for the service was love and empathy. Now, of course, this is the first time that the Princess of Wales has actually written a personal letter. And that personal letter was included in the order of service for everyone that was attending the Abbey, which I think would just be such a wonderful souvenir and such a wonderful memento. Now, I'm not going to share the whole letter, obviously, because you can just Google that and go and read it if you wish to read it. But I just wanted to share one little bit that really resonated with me. And it moved me, and it really, it just went into my heart, loved it. So she was talking about in this letter offering help in the time of need. And this is a direct quote that just I love. Gentle words or a receptive ear, an arm around an exhausted shoulder, or silently being by someone's side. Now, of course, when you read that, your first thought goes to her family. William, of course, that of course is who supported her through her very hard year. But I'll tell you where my mind went. My mind went immediately to Sophie, to the Duchess of Edinburgh, because I went back to the Remembrance Day service where they were on the balcony. And Sophie was next to Catherine, and that lovely sort of hand on her back as they walked back inside off the balcony. And it just really did ooze love and empathy and support and that quiet presence for someone that, probably was exhausted. And I love Sophie. I love Sophie. I think every family's got to have a Sophie in their lives. Do you have a Sophie in your life? I hope you do, because I think she's a, lovely support, just a stellar, stellar person. Now, of course, the MSM and all the Harkle-friendly media, I hate to put a dampener on things, but they couldn't help themselves. When they read that letter, the first thing they did was associate it with Harry, saying, I wonder if this is an indication of the thawing of relations with Harry, instigated by Catherine, and how hard Catherine is working on making sure that Prince William softens his heart and accepts the inevitable olive branch, Oh, no, not another olive branch. It's just too painful. We can't stand it. Now, of course, we don't take any of that seriously. But isn't it astounding that even Catherine's Christmas letter that she wrote with purpose because of the people she invited to the service, the people that she actually really cares about, and the reason why she put so much effort into making this a really special experience, they had to associate it. And it wasn't just one. I'm not making this up. It was many and it's just groan inducing. It really, really is. So we won't spend any more time on that, but I just had to say how painful it was, because I'm sure many of you found it really, really painful too. Now, when I was reading about the carol service, George 11, Louis 6, and Charlotte 9, and I was like, what? When did they grow so big? When did that happen? I'm losing track of time here, because they are just shooting along, aren't they? The years are just flying by. Now, this is sweet. Each of them brought handwritten notes to place on the kindness tree, paying tribute to someone or someones that had provided help and support throughout the year. I think that's such a lovely idea, that acknowledgement. And I think that would be so lovely for all the people that attended the service. They could actually place their own note of gratefulness on the kindness tree. I would have preferred for it to be called the grateful tree. That's just me, because whenever I think of anything being called kindness, I always think of Meghan Markle. It's me associating something lovely with something horrible. But you know how they always emphasize kindness, and it just, I think the grateful tree, the grateful tree. And of course, Louis's little note: thank you to Granny and Grandpa, because they have played games with me. And I immediately thought of my gran and all the games that she played with me. I loved going over to my gran's because she had so much patience, and she would play all those games that, are a bit like, oh, do I have to play Ludo again? Really? Or some silly card game like Snap or something. And she always did it without complaint. She always had a giggle when we were playing. Of course, she's long gone now, but I'll never forget that. I'll never forget playing games with Gran. And I hope one day, no pressure kids, but I hope one day I get to be a granny and I get to do that as well. That would be so fantastic. I can't wait, can't wait. So that was that. I've got a few more things to show. I believe I do from that. Yes, this is a gorgeous photo. Now, come on, kids. Who is that very handsome guy behind Catherine's right shoulder? Because he's hot. I hate to look at a very dignified carol service and instantly sort of pick out the really good-looking guy, but he's rather lovely. I mean, if you get a chance, zoom in on your screens, because he's a bit special, and I'm wondering who he is. I'm hoping you know in the comments. Do you know? Do you know? Yes. Oh, that's lovely, just me. Yes, clearly, the kids clearly wrote their own messages. Yes, because it wasn't with thought of who might be offended or who might be insulted or who got left out, or, so it's not that, control. I just imagine, now this is bitchy and unnecessary, but let's go there. I can just imagine that if Meghan Markle was sort of hovering over a child, writing a note for the kindness tree, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Actually, she would probably make the children write it on a banana and then hang bananas on the kindness tree. There'd be all these sort of two ripe bananas stuck on the tree, I would imagine. Greetings from Portland, Oregon. Yes, I believe that is a good time in Portland, Oregon. I believe it is. And this is from Judith Fitzsimmons. The olive tree will be stripped bare. Now, ain't that the truth, Judith? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, this is a tweet that I shared that's got, it's been spread like wildfire. So I think it resonated with a lot of people. Catherine is all class. No looking for the camera, no photo op for her. Greeting her husband and her kids, her entire focus was on them. Very reminiscent of our late Queen. Nailed it. Now, I just want to explain that a little bit, because I got trolled. Which I don't know whether Harry actually, I said last night before I went to bed on X, I said, I think Harry might have actually given out a secret password or something, because The trolls were so active, just so incredibly active, all 10 of them. And it was just amazing. And how brutal and mean and nasty. Anyway, what they didn't get was they were saying, oh, you're setting a pretty low bar. She just greeted her family. They obviously don't have any idea of nuance or any idea of what I was really trying to say. What I was trying to say was Catherine had to go to the Abbey first because they do a little bit of pre-recording. She wants to greet everyone in private because she's not about photo ops. So she wants to greet the guests as they're being seated in the Abbey. So she gets a chance to talk to as many of them as she can without cameras in their faces. That is her purpose of arriving early. Plus, of course, practical considerations, and she wants to greet the people that are singing and performing and, quoting things and all that. So that's good. Then she comes out when Prince William and the kids actually arrive later. Now, there's a bank of photographers off to the left-hand side entrance of the Abbey, and you should see the flashes. And of course, she wants them to be there because she wants to attract attention to the causes, attract attention to the loveliness of the whole idea of the thing, and also she wants shots of the kindness tree and everything like that. And my comment was the fact that she focused on William and the kids, right? Now, this is incredibly hard to do when you've got a whole bank of photographers. Now, they weren't calling out because that wasn't the done thing. They don't do that. They just take photographs. It's not like a press pack, where they're calling out stupid things or anything like that. They're invited to cover the event. So they're all very well behaved and everything. But there's a lot of flashes, right? Now, it would be very easy to just sort of turn your chin a little or, make sure they got a good angle or find the light or do a fake laugh with one of the kids and act like they just said something so amusing or do a big like Velcro grip hug or any of those things that we see happening in other parts of the world. It's very hard not to do that. It's very hard to focus, be genuine, genuinely listen to your children, genuinely focus, because of course, add nerves into that, add excitement into that, add probably exhaustion into that because she'd probably been going since 6 o'clock that morning, right? We all know as mums, we all know. So add all that into the mix, and yet she calmly, genuinely focused on her children. And it's that calm demeanor, that lack of drama, that is actually ensuring that the kids are coping really, really well. Because even they were a little bit overwhelmed when they arrived because it's a real blast of lights in your face. It really is. I'm not suggesting it's traumatic. I'm just saying the ages that they are, they're aware. And you're right at that age too where you're a little bit self-conscious. You're starting to get into that, pre-puberty, well, for George, sort of, the cusp of puberty, and you feel a little awkward around that age. You do. George and Charlotte in particular, you become more aware when people are looking at you. And so I think that they're just coping amazingly well. What about you? Do you think they're coping really well? Yes, a few people... Michelle, my belle, you are naughty. The seal clap, I have no idea what you're referring to. That's funny. Cruel, but funny. Yes, so they have, they really are just being brought up perfectly, I think. They're under very quite difficult circumstances, but it's her calmness and her demeanour. It's a little bit like, with children where you've got a big thunderstorm and you're acting like it's fun, even though you're personally terrified of thunderstorms, and you're standing at the window and you're going, oh, that was a good one. Oh, wow, I love storms. You do it for the sake of your kids, don't you? And also for the sake of your dogs. as well. So what else have I got to share? So the concert held at Westminster Abbey was Princess Kate's fourth annual Christmas service, with her theme this year being a personal one, as I said, about love and empathy. So I've already covered that. Now I want to get on to William's trip. So I'm not going to go straight there. I'm going to go on to the fact that Prince William did a quick hop, skip and a jump across to Paris for the Notre Dame Cathedral reopening, and that was on behalf of King Charles III, because of course he is still recovering from his diagnosis and his counts about. So he went in and filled in for his dad, which was a lovely thing to do, and he did him proud. He did him proud, didn't he? It was lovely to see. Now, he was supposed to arrive and actually be able to see Jill Biden in a proper meeting before the service. Didn't work out because, plane was delayed due to weather and all that sort of thing. So he got to speak to her off to one side of the cathedral and greet her post-service, post-Notre Dame Cathedral service, which indicating from what Prince William said to President-elect Trump, I think it was freezing. I think it was absolutely freezing in the cathedral. He got to meet President-elect Trump in the British Embassy post the reopening ceremony. And of course, President Macron. I just like saying that. Got to get to Paris. I actually promised my mum I was going to take her to Paris, but, I think I've left it a little too late. She doesn't want to go now. So never mind. I'll go on your behalf, Mum. I'll go on your behalf. So I wanted to talk a little bit seriously about soft power, that sort of, role that the royal family plays with that soft diplomacy and that soft power. The wonderful thing is we want to see world leaders coming together and having conversations. We want to see that dialogue. We want them to build a relationship with each other. And the royal family plays such a role because they don't talk politics. So world leaders have a chance to relax in the moment and just be able to actually unwind, be more real. The conversations are always kept private. They're never relayed, other than a general overview. They're never relayed, so they can trust that what they say will be held in confidence. It's a very important role, and I've got something to share to you. It's in a book that I'm going to share in future weekly book chats, and it said about the late Queen, and around the time of South Africa and apartheid, and how Commonwealth countries were going to put sanctions on South Africa, and that indeed did happen. But Margaret Thatcher was a holdout on that because she didn't think that sanctions were effective. She had her own reasoning. I won't go into it because it's very in-depth, but she was sort of seen as the holdout for these sanctions. Now, the Queen was concerned, not that she wanted it to go one way or the other. She wasn't involving herself because she wanted sanctions in South Africa. That wasn't the point. She didn't want the Commonwealth to become fractured over it. So she wanted to, that at least that there was a common agreed position from the Commonwealth. And even though the UK wasn't going to take part, she didn't want the rest of the Commonwealth countries necessarily to need the UK to act on something that they believed in. And she could sense that there might be this fracture or this undermining that didn't need to happen. So she did an unprecedented thing that she'd never done before. Before the official Commonwealth meetings, she held a quite informal, not white tie, not black tie, quite informal private dinner. And she invited all the Commonwealth leaders. Now, she didn't push an agenda. She didn't even discuss it. She didn't even mention it. What she wanted to do was she wanted to give them a chance to relax with each other, to get to know each other, to laugh and chat and converse without politics, without difficult decisions, to sort of build that sort of trust and sense of community. And they say it's directly due to her doing that the rest of the Commonwealth countries found a position they could all agree with, and they went ahead with sanctions against apartheid in South Africa. Now, Nelson Mandela was eternally grateful for her facilitating the chance for those leaders to meet. He wasn't grateful because she determined the outcome or she pushed her view on anyone. Just the fact she facilitated, she convened. And that was what was needed at the time. And that's what the royal family does. So that's that soft power, that soft diplomacy. And I know that a lot of other countries probably wouldn't understand that because they don't have that. And it's completely unique. And it would be such a tragedy to lose that. So they don't go around having an opinion on any country's elected leader. They support any democratically elected leader. They show them respect and they try to sort of convene and bring people together. So end of lecture, but that is really the purpose. So I was quite excited to see that meeting with President-elect Trump because it is the start of bringing people together. It's the start of finding that common ground. Now, if Kamala Harris had won the election, a similar meeting would have taken place. It has nothing to do with who won or who didn't win. And I know a lot of people that are distraught by the fact that Trump is the president-elect will be sort of digging at that meeting and saying, oh, I can't stand it and everything. But I think we have to look at things from a diplomatic and grown-up, mature point of view. And quite frankly, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how things unfold. I'm excited to see world leaders come together. I was excited to see Zelensky and Macron and President-elect Trump in that photo call. I was excited. I want wars to finish. I want things to work out as Ukraine want them. So, I'm here for it. I'm here to watch and learn and listen. And I've got a completely open mind over the next 4 years. I'm not going to push my political agenda on anyone, but I am going to be an interested observer. So, yeah, it was amazing. And on a light note, evidently in this meeting, like I said, they shared general overviews. Evidently, President-elect Trump shared stories of the late Queen. And evidently, Prince William was quite grateful for those stories and liked hearing them. And that's probably why the meeting went for 40 minutes, went about 10 minutes over time, because they just get a chance to talk about things that aren't inflammatory and aren't, fraught with tension. So I think he really carried that out amicably. And I've got a few, I'm going to share the photo. Now, in this particular shot, this is where he said, good man, this one, he said, before gesturing at the prince and adding, he's doing a fantastic job, which is, kind. And I'm sure that William probably enjoyed that. He probably liked a bit of praise. Wouldn't we all? Now, this is interesting because this is inside the British Embassy. And it could really be a drawing room at Buckingham Palace or Windsor, couldn't it? Because it just looks so British and so beautifully decorated. It's quite lovely, really, isn't it? Looks nice and cozy. And after the cold cathedral, I bet they needed it. I bet they did. So this was interesting. This is from, I believe I got this out of the Times. I should have actually made a note. What Mr. Trump does next is anyone's guess, but those on the periphery, from royal aides to diplomats and government mandarins, knew the importance of this mission. And Prince William walked into that room with their full backing. Of course he does. Of course he does, because that's another thing people don't realise, that the UK government calls in the royal family when they want them to do these soft power, soft diplomacy, meet and greets, and to break the ice. They call in the royal family. That is their duty. That is how they help the UK. It's a wonderful, unique function. It really is. I don't think it could be replaced by anyone else, because anyone else would be pushing an agenda, could be corruptible, and could, be political. So, yeah, I think it's unique to the UK. Oh no, I won't go into that one. That's another one. That's an interesting quote. That's an interesting quote. So I'm going to go to a few of your comments now, and I'm just going to share a few. MW, Trump had respect for the Great Lake Queen. Well, that's evident. He does. He did. Now, one thing I wanted to mention was Craig Brown in his book, Voyage Around the Queen. I'm really enjoying that book, and it didn't get really the accolades it deserved, because there was that quote in there from a royal aide where it was said that the late Queen actually dissed Trump at a lunch, after his visit. And I'm going to share it in the weekly book chat. And I'm not an apologist for Trump. I'm not an apologist for Kamala Harris. I'm not an apologist for anyone. It just struck me as not it didn't come across as authentic, because the dialogue was so off. It just wasn't how the Queen speaks, and it was supposedly a direct quote. It isn't how she refers to people. It isn't how she speaks. And I feel like I know her voice now, because I've read so many biographies now with direct quotes. I feel like I know how she speaks. So that just did not seem authentic to me. And that's the other thing. The royal family tries to remain, like I said, apolitical, but royal aides don't necessarily stay apolitical. And so there will be quotes, attributed to the late Queen in this case, and it's because royal aides have their own political opinions and are pushing their own political agendas. And it must be the bane of the royal family, because whether it was President-elect Trump, whether it was President Biden, whether it was Kamala Harris, if she happened to win, they're all treated the same, with the same respect, with the same confidence. Confidences aren't betrayed, because that is their role. They welcome world leaders on state occasions, and that's what they do. And everyone is treated in the same way. So I am firm on that. No one can sway me off that point of view. Okay. This is from Yo Clark. I agree, Shauna. I'm excited for the changes coming as well. Here's to the best outcome for the world. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? It just makes sense, because no matter our personal political affiliations, and like I said, I'm a swinging voter, so I judge people on their performance, and I mouth off and have an opinions based on people's performance. So that's the attitude I'm going to take for the next 4 years. I'm going to judge on action, judge on performance, judge on outcomes. Isn't that what all sensible, intelligent people like all of you do? I mean, that's what we've got to do, isn't it? And we all want the best outcome. I mean, let's face it, we all want the best outcome for our kids and our grandkids, don't we? So what's this one? Oh, I love that Macron made time for leaders to meet and relax. Well done. Yes, I think that is great. I think that's great. I really do. I'm going to see what Shirley has to say. As a Canadian, I'm scared for what is going to happen to our country. Trump has no respect for Canada. He treated us like crap the last time he was in. So I'm not looking forward to what he will do. Well, I think, Shirley, that's the point I'm making. I'm not discounting your opinion. Your opinion may, come to pass. I don't know. But I think that it has to be judged from this point, because really the facts of the matter is that he won the popular vote. He won overwhelmingly. And so therefore it's a new era, a new way of thinking, new action. More experience. He's bringing more experience to the table. I'm hoping that he probably has better advisors this time. And so it could work out. You never know. It could work out. Plus, I guess there's a lot of people concerned in Canada at the moment with the violence and the division. And I mean, look at the fact when, the Prime Minister was actually at the Taylor Swift concert and there was all those dreadful riots taking place in Canada. I mean, there's so much tension and division. And I'm just hoping, no matter who is in charge, who is in power, that can be relieved a little. That might be naive, but I wish that for you. I hope the best. I really do. I really do. Okay, yeah, exactly. Margaret Morris, exactly. We are all praying for the best. I think that's great. Yes, Stephanie Barrett, the royal soft power can be used in the other 14 realms when there is political constitutional crises too, I think, and even in the non-realm Commonwealth countries if needed and asked for. Yes, it would have to be specifically asked for, and I doubt whether it would be. I doubt whether it would be. Of course, in the time of the Second World War, there was, that coming together of the USA and the UK eventually, when the USA did enter the war, and they were great allies. And so there was a real coming together there. But, it would have to be invited, and it would have to be a very specific invitation, and it would have to have tight boundaries and control. I think the safer bet is they focus on Commonwealth countries. And even with Commonwealth countries, they wait for an invitation. They don't ever ring up a Commonwealth country and say, hey, we'd love to come down. It's always the response of an invitation. And of course, due to King Charles III's, cancer diagnosis, a lot of those invitations had to be put off for a very long time. And of course, Catherine's cancer diagnosis. There's word that she's going to be doing a little bit more travel. So hopefully that will work out. So this is interesting. And you tell me who you think made this quote. I learned a long time ago not to put my fat fingers into the world of William and Harry, he adds. I'm going to tell you who it was in a sec. But it was appalling what they went through. I've had a billionth of what they've had to go through, but hell, I sympathise. Now, guesses? Is there any guesses? Any guesses? Who this might be? No, not yet. Okay. It is Tom Parker Bowles. Now, it's interesting that he came out with a sort of an article saying that he was going to be joining Queen Camilla and King Charles III and the rest of them at Sandringham for Christmas. And he did say, which I thought was quite sweet, that his mother specifically requested that he come because he hadn't been for the last 2 years. And he prefers a more relaxed sort of Christmas, but he wanted to, she wanted to see him. And she wanted her son there. And I don't know whether Laura, her daughter, has also been invited. But it was an interesting article. I think it was a little bit of PR promo, quite frankly, for his book, Cooking in the Crown, pre-Christmas sales. If you're into reading cookbooks, you know how people like me who can't cook love reading cookbooks? I think it's because we're imagining that one day we might... we might magically get some skills. I love reading cookbooks, so I actually might grab this one. I've done a brief overview of it, but I actually haven't purchased it yet, but I might get it because he's a very entertaining writer. So, I don't know. I'm not plugging it because I haven't read it yet. Not read it yet. So, yeah. So that was... Tom Parker Bowles getting in his royal connections for his Cooking with the Crown book. Isn't that cynical of me? Aren't I dreadful? Okay, it's time. Let's get on to the Ginger Whinger. Now, okay. One thing I want to say about the Book Deal Summit is that it's an event, it's a corporate event, it's a networking event. People pay a lot of money to go to this gig, and they had to provide Harry as an oddity, as a curiosity, as a rent-a-royal, as a look what you're getting for your tickets this year, kids. And, probably people hope to sort of bump into him at the drinkies afterwards and maybe get a cheeky little selfie or something, or the very fact that they can go off to their families at Christmas and say, well, when I was discussing cyber safety with Prince Harry the other day, all these wannabes that want to... You'd have to be a wannabe. You'd have to be desperate, I think, to think that this was an additive to the conference. But yes, so it's a paid-for event. I don't know whether Harry actually received any money. He was there, on behalf of the Parent Network, apparently, Archwell Foundation, apparently, and also Better Up, apparently. Now, it should be probably part of his seven-figure sum for Better Up, I would think, to actually turn up at these things. Now, he had an interview, if you can call it that. It was a scripted, conversation, I would say, a very scripted conversation. And I got some thoughts about it. So let's have a little look at this one. The Duke of Sussex added, "I feel as though it's the life that my mum wanted for me, to be able to do the things I'm able to do with my kids that I undoubtedly wouldn't be able to do in the UK." And I immediately thought, what, Harry? What, visit Balmoral? Give your kids a chance to romp around this giant estate that is actually owned by the royal family, be exposed to all that wonderful, wonderful history, and ride ponies through the paddocks and be waited on hand and foot by their staff and attend their first Gillies ball. Oh, it would be just so bad. It would be so disinteresting, wouldn't it? It just would be awful. Is he mad? Well, actually, yeah. Is the man mad? Now, I had an opinion, as you would expect, but I'll get onto that in a sec. Now, this is the most ludicrous thing. Now, Harry said a social media ban for kids didn't make sense because taking it away could lead to family rows and playground bullying. If anyone could miss the point of the whole issue, it's Harry. He is not bright enough. He's not across topics. He hasn't got enough experience. He's too immature. Why is anyone listening to this total doofus and his opinions? It is beyond belief. Who cares? He's an idiot. Anyway, calm down, Shauna. Calm down. But he is, seriously. He is not qualified to speak on issues like this. Now, surprisingly, he comes out and says he's against the social media ban, which, hallelujah, because you all know, of course, I'm against the social media ban in Australia. I think it's the most stupid, horrific piece of legislation. At the risk of repeating myself, I think it's going to drive children underground into the hands of people that you don't want them with. So I think it's stupid. I think it's dividing parents and children, and it's removing their first line of defense, which is their parents, because they're going to hide things from their parents because it's illegal. So it's stupid, and impossible to enforce unless you impose on, getting identity, digital identity, all that sort of thing. Anyway, I won't bore you silly. So that's the sort of no position if you got a brain, right? But no, Harry hasn't got a brain because he comes up with, oh, well, I think that, because it could cause playground bullying. That is the yes case, you idiot. It's the yes case. You just gave the wrong argument for the wrong verdict. It's so stupid. And it may cause arguments in families. Oh, you think, Harry? Why? Because parents can't actually make rules and boundaries and make decisions for their own children? Really? Really? They need the government to do it, do they? Oh my goodness me, this guy's an idiot. He's an idiot. Now, why is he able to show up at a corporate event and shoot his mouth off to paid people that are paying for tickets, and still be in the line of succession? Because everything he was discussing was to do with censorship and to do with social media. And then, sorry to rant, I'll get your opinions in a sec, the stakeholders... He wants to meet with social media stakeholders. Why would they want to meet with you? Why? You're not a world leader. You have no qualifications. You have no experience. If they were all at a summit for how to muck up being a prince, yeah, they might want to meet with you. Or if you were at the national, global conference for exiled royals, sure, you might be able to bring something to the table. But why would any social media stakeholder meet with Harry? The level of delusion, can you believe it? It's like when he was on Spotify, he wanted to meet with Putin and he wanted to meet with Trump and discuss trauma and their, and their hurt childhoods and have sort of a therapy session. And then at the Book Deal Summit, this bit I couldn't get over. He looks at the audience and he says, I'm paraphrasing, this actually feels like therapy now. When are you going to stop having this verbal therapy diarrhea where you're imposing what you think and your needs on the audience that have paid tickets to see a B-list royal, D-list royal, now a celebrity, for a bit of a gag, for a bit of jovial entertainment, just to look, so they could go off and laugh about you later. Like, why is your mental health just so important to everybody else in the world? I mean, normal, decent people can have sympathy, I guess, and empathy to a point, but you've exhausted that now. You've exhausted that now. Now I'm going to get on to your opinions. Kathy Evans, couldn't agree more. They definitely wouldn't want to meet him. Yeah, I guess, other than just to say, what's he really like? Oh, he does come across as a real dimwit. Oh, gosh. He just infuriates me. He's such an idiot. Adam's aunt. Harry's therapy hasn't worked. It's every chance to discuss himself. It's not just Meghan. Yes, with narcissistic personality disorder. Incomplete agreement. I mean, there has to be some element of narc in there. There must be. I'm going to go on to, I've already said about the shareholders. Oh, and this doozy. Prince Harry gets candid at New York Times Steelbook Summit. One of my biggest weaknesses is feeling helpless. Well then, don't represent the parent network. Don't be at the forefront of introducing social media controls. Because if you're sitting in a public place saying you feel helpless, then you are not the person for those roles. You should not be putting yourself in a position of leadership, even though no one takes you seriously and no one thinks you're a leader and it's just ridiculous. The point is you're presenting yourself as if you're important, a leader, a thought thinker, someone that can influence debate, someone that is convening important people in order to influence legislation, which I think, unless he becomes an American citizen and tosses the titles, should not be happening because he is, in a sense, a foreign agent. Now, that's not woo-woo conspiracy theory. That's just normal common sense, manners, a matter of law. He should not be doing that. He should not be interfering in the politics or the legislation of another country, hiding behind, cyber safety for children. Just pathetic. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, now this was extraordinary. Closing out his panel discussions, Sorkin asked Harry what he wants to be known for in 30 years' time, and he answered, "The main goal for me at the moment is being the best husband and the best dad that I can be." Okay, I have issue with that sentiment. And this is the issue that I have. Put a woman saying that. Put a woman saying that at an important corporate event where people have paid for tickets and you're representing bereaved parents. Oh gosh, I feel sorry for the parents in the Parent Network. That is a good organisation, but goodness me, fancy having Archwell as your patrons. I mean, how horrific is that? Having people actually use your grief, griefters, basically. Anyway, yeah, if a woman was in that position, in this sort of leadership role where she's supposed to be influencing legislation and bringing important people together to make a difference, imagine if she said, well, I want to be remembered for being a wife and the best mother that I can be. You're either there as a leader, as a representative of these causes, or you're not. No woman would be so unprofessional. She would either talk about her private life on another occasion, like if she was being interviewed at home in front of a roaring log fire for a personal piece, yes, then she would say that quote. But any businesswoman worth their salt would not go near that. Not if she was at that sort of conference. And it just, and it's so insincere and so cringy and so, it's just, okay. I'm going to share another comment, then I'm going to let you all go because I've prattled on enough. The Queen's Guard. Hallelujah, Shauna. He is a foreign agent. I'm getting very sick of it as a resident of USA. Now, when we say foreign agent, I'm back. Oh, sorry. Oh, I panicked. I went out to my son and said, oh no, oh no, oh no. So can you see me now? Can you see me now? Am I still there? Am I still there? Oh, that was scary. Oh, that was scary. I went out to my son and said, oh no, I just clicked something and it just went. And oh no, oh no, oh no. So, yeah, what I was going to say was, what was I saying? What was I saying? Yeah, I don't think any woman worth their salt. Yes. Oh, good. Oh, good. I was really worried. And the main thing I was really worried was when I just lost the whole lot, I thought, oh no, there's going to be no replay. And we said such good stuff and you gave such good comments. It would have been devastating. So I'll share a few more of your comments. And hi, Carol. Thank you so much. Yay, yay. I was really worried. Hey, lucky I didn't swear when it happened. Because my mic was still live. So lucky I didn't, drop any unfortunate language. Not that I would ever do that. Someone said I went for a ladies' break. That's funny. Patricia McCain. Love, love, love. I'm finding myself not wanting to miss anything and watching it over and over. It's so great to celebrate Christmas in this elegant way. Keep up the good work, Princess Catherine. Oh, yes. Cheers to that. I agree. I'm going to be really, really careful what I click on now because I think I did it. Yeah. This is from Sasumi Rogue. Repeating myself. Do the parent as often as they work at Murchywell an hour a week. Yes, well, still an hour a week. Gee, they work hard, don't they? They just work so hard. Insert Shauna Uncensored. Yes, well, I did go off a bit this one, didn't I? Did go off a bit. I'm enjoying this new uncensored me. It's quite freeing, really. It's because you are also encouraging and so lovely. I just feel like I'm amongst friends. So, you just talk in a very real way. Kay Cook, the rise and fall of Harry and Meghan on tonight. I hope some truths come out. Yes, that's in Australia, isn't it? So, yes, I think, I don't know. Will I watch it? I suppose I'll have to. I'll watch it and then if it's any good, I might mention a few things and gossip before bed on Wednesday. Okay, so this is a private conversation. Well, it's not a private conversation, but I'm not really up with it, so I won't share that one. So final comment, Flaming Feline and Darlie, how kind, thank you, best wishes. Oh, so that's also a bit of a private conversation there. I'll try and find one where you're not chatting to each other. I love you chatting to each other. I'm only kidding. I love it. No, that's one I've already done. Okay, this will be the final one. Sheila English. I was so glad to see you live for the first time and was thrilled to tune into a blank screen. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, that's the thing with lives, you can't really tell what's going to happen at any point in time. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for not all going when you got the blank screen. That was very dedicated of you. Love you all very much. I'm going to pop in live a bit more, if there's anything to chat about, because I'm sort of doing livemas instead of vlogmas. I'm going to do livemas over Christmas because anything that breaks, and also really good, lovely things, mainly good, lovely things that we see, I want to share them and chat with you and have a bit of fun. So we'll be getting more livemas on the Vintage Read Show over Christmas. Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to leave the live chat all enabled. And of course, please, if you're watching this on replay, leave your comments down below. I'm going to have to go and try and cut out that big blank bit now, aren't I? I wonder how I can do that. That'll be interesting. Okay, love you all very much. See ya. Bye. Bye. Thanks for joining me. Bye.